Hey, how's it going, everybody? Tommy Star here at TD Healthy 2015, bringing you another video. Well, today's video is going to be something a little bit different, something I haven't done before, but I've been wanting to do for a while. I've just spent the last couple hours sitting in my man cave, had some free time in my hands, and I decided to bust out my movie list and start putting together top 10 lists that I wanted to share with you guys. Number one being the top 10 favorite movies of all time, top 10 movie franchises and series and things like that, top 10 horror movies, favorite horror movies of all time, top 10 horror franchise movies of all time, and top 10 DC, top 10 Marvel. I don't know if I'm going to do those separate or just put them together for top 10 superhero movies, but I don't know. But for starters, I'm going to go through and start with my top. This particular video is going to be my top 10 favorite movies of all time. And I got to tell you, this really took a long time narrowing it down. You know, there's a lot of movies that I'm currently into right now. You know, and I'm really into the MCU, as you guys know. I'm really into you know, these new DC extended universe films that they've been putting out, and you know, just different things like that. You know, like I would say, if I had to tell you what I'm really into, my favorite movies right now are definitely those. But I kind of took into consideration just kind of like overall, just like movies I've watched my whole life. Since I was a little kid, movies that I could just watch over and over and over, movies I've watched like 1,000 times in my lifetime. And, you know, I took other things into consideration, just kind of like, as far as like, you know, entertainment value, and kind of what they mean to me, you know, sentimental values, and just different things like that. And of course, you know, some of these may not end up actually being the greatest movies ever made, but they are to me. You know, some of these titles might actually surprise some of you guys who know me, you know, very well. But yeah, I think I got it pretty well narrowed down. So like I said, it took a long time, and I definitely think I got it pretty well together for the top 10. So we'll go ahead and we'll get into it. I'm going to go ahead and start off with just a couple of, I guess you would say, honorable mentions that almost made it into the top 10 but didn't quite get there. So I'll go ahead and start with that, and so you guys can see exactly what those movies are. So there you go, a couple movies that I, like I said, I almost made it into this top 10 list, but didn't quite make it. So we're going to go ahead and start with number 10. Okay, so coming in at number 10 is Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg. You know, I used to think that this movie was actually much higher on my list, you know, maybe more in the top 3. But once I really broke it down, didn't quite make it up that high, you know, once I really looked at all the movies, and, you know, but it's still a really good movie. Mark Wahlberg, definitely one of his best performances, I think. I know a lot of you probably, you know these movies, especially some of these older ones, but just to give a quick breakdown, you know, I think it was a really cool idea for a movie. You know, basically about this guy who sings in a tribute band to a really huge band of the 80s. Movie is actually set in the 80s. And he sings in this tribute band, and then, you know, the band ends up, you know, in a big fight, and, you know, they end up kicking him out of the band, replacing him. And what ends up happening is that the real band, Steel Dragon, the same thing ends up happening, is that their singer ends up getting kicked out of the band, and now they're looking for a replacement. And then kind of through the grapevine, they end up hearing about him, and you know, how good he is, because he actually is a really good singer. And so they, you know, end up finding him and offer him to come audition for the band, and he's all blown away. He doesn't believe it at first, or that's really them. and ends up going out to California and auditions for the band and gets the gig. And it's kind of like, just obviously a huge dream come true for him. And he gets to experience, the 80s metal life, what it was like back in those days with, big 80s bands. And I don't know, it's just a really entertaining movie. Like I said, a really cool idea for a movie. Exactly what it says on here, the story of a wannabe who got to be, pretty much sums it up. But yeah, I've always loved this movie. Obviously, I'm a big time musician myself, singing in bands, and really relate to this movie a lot. And obviously, myself personally, I've always had dreams like that. And but yeah, I mean, I love this movie. I've watched it a bunch of times. Very, very entertaining. Pretty much all these top 10 movies I'm going to show you guys are, movies that I can rewatch over and over and over, and have watched like a million times. But yeah, Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg, awesome movie. All right, so that takes us to number 9, 1986 classic Stand By Me, from the mind of Stephen King. Of course, it's based on the book The Body. But this movie's a classic. I've been watching this movie since I was a little kid. Seen it a million times. Everybody knows this movie. What can I say about it? A lot of big time actors definitely got their start in this movie. Will Wheaton, River Phoenix, Corey Feldman, Kiefer Sutherland, all very young in this film, and definitely put a lot of these actors on the map. But just very excellent drama. This is a movie I will recommend to anybody all day if anybody's never seen this movie before. But very, very touching movie, very powerful movie. But yeah, like I said, I've loved this movie for many, many years. Happy to recently get it on Blu-ray not too long ago. So yeah, classic. Love this movie. All right, so coming in at number 8 is from the Rocky franchise, and a lot of people might disagree with me, but my number 8, favorite movie of all time is definitely going to be Rocky 4. I think, growing up, I've watched these movies since I was very young. Rockies will always be favorites of mine. I've been watching these movies since I was very young, and now growing up with them, I would definitely say, the earlier Rocky films 1 and 2 are definitely more better made films. But I would just say, as an overall, I would think Part 4 would definitely be my favorite out of the series, and like I said, my favorite number 8 movie of all time. And I think one of the main reasons is because, for one, it's the first Rocky movie I ever saw as a kid. And I think that's probably the one I've seen the most. I think kind of overall, it's definitely the most entertaining, definitely the coolest soundtrack, I think, out of all the Rocky films. And I just love the fight with the Russian in this one. But like I said, a lot of this is based on just, kind of like overall growing up with movies and what I've always liked since I was a little kid. And I definitely would say that Rocky 4 would definitely be my favorite out of all the Rocky movies. So yeah, number 8 movie of all time, Rocky 4, just a kick-ass movie. Absolutely love it. Always have, always will. When I have my Rocky marathons, it's definitely the one I look forward to the most when it comes around. So. All right, so coming in at number 7 is 1985's Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Definitely the best Schwarzenegger film, in my opinion. Everything about this movie is badass. Another one of these movies I watched a million times as a kid. Absolutely love this film. I think it's just one of the best action flicks that came out of the 80s. Just packed with action. Everything about this movie is cool. Definitely one of those movies I probably could quote from beginning to end. But for those of you who may not have seen it, long story short, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the main plot of the film is his daughter's been kidnapped. The whole movie is him trying to get his daughter back. And, he gets sent on a mission by one of his old comrade buddies, from back in his war days when he was in the army or whatever the hell he was. kind of turned on him and is forcing him to go kill this president in another country, and is keeping his daughter until he gets the job done. And of course, Arnold's character, John Matrix is his name, of course doesn't want to do it, so he jumps off the plane, and he's got basically like 11 hours to find his daughter before they find out he never stayed on the plane and went to the country to kill the president. So anyways, yeah, so that's what it's about. He's just a badass in this movie. Absolutely love it. Very entertaining, and definitely comes in at a strong number 7 on my list. So check this out if you haven't seen it. All right, so coming at number 6, Adventures in Babysitting with Elizabeth Shue. Some of you might even laugh about this. Trying to let you guys see that a little bit better here. This movie came out, I think, 1987. It's always so hard to see the years. Yeah, 1987. But anyway, it's just, again, it's one of those movies that I watched a million times as a kid. Grew up with this movie, so happy to finally find this on Blu-ray. But just a fun, good family film. Elizabeth Shue's character kind of gets stood up at the beginning of the movie. She's supposed to go on a date with her boyfriend, and then ends up getting stuck babysitting these kids. And then her friend calls from downtown Chicago, ran away from home, stuck down at the bus station, and needs her friend Elizabeth Shue to come pick her up. So she takes the kids into downtown, and just gets in a whole bunch of mess. But it's just a really cool movie. It's got what's his name? What's that dude's name? Keith Coogan. Yeah, that's his name. Keith Coogan. He plays in this movie. Also played in that other movie, that other babysitting movie, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, which I absolutely love as well. If you guys remember him, he played Kenny with the long hair, but he plays in this as well. And it's just a really fun movie. If you guys haven't seen this movie, I wouldn't really look at this as a straight up kids movie, because it's really not. I mean, it's kid appropriate, but I would say it's probably more of it's aimed more towards adults, in my opinion, with some things that happen in the movie. But a really good movie, really fun. I could watch this movie over and over and over. Yeah, absolutely love it. Number 6. Okay, so about halfway there now. We are at number 5, The Wizard. I've yet to find a Blu-ray of this movie. I don't think they've made it yet. I'm pretty sure about that. So, of course, I got it on DVD here. This movie is just incredible, in my opinion. I love this movie so freaking much. One of Fred Savage's films from the 80s, and also has Christian Slater in it, Beau Bridges, Luke Edwards, who of course also played in Little Big League, a couple years later after this film. Jenny Lewis is in here, another big star of the 80s, that career never really went anywhere after that. But this movie is really good. I mean, it's 100% focused around the times that the regular NES, Nintendo, had pretty much just come out, and that's what the movie's based on. The Fred Savage and his little brother, which is this one here, and this girl that they meet up along the way. He ends up running away with his little brother, because his little brother was kind of gone through a lot. His twin sister had died, about a year prior to the events of the film, and he's all messed up about it. And they end up wanting to put him in a home. And Fred Savage is basically out to try to prove that he's normal and he's okay. And so they hit the road, run away. He wants to take him to California, and through the process, he ends up finding out that his little brother is a wizard on video games, and just is just a natural at it. And they end up making their expedition to make it to this video game competition. And if you know, is basically his you know, the whole purpose of it is to try to prove that he's not crazy, and get him to win the competition, and you know, all that stuff. So I mean, it's really fun. Super Mario Brothers 3 was introduced in this movie for the first time ever. You know, if you guys remember that from Nintendo. But yeah, just such a fun movie. You know, I've introduced this movie to my son a few years ago, and we watch it all the time. Absolutely love it. But I'm hoping someday soon we will see a Blu-ray release on this movie. But yeah, absolutely love this movie. Check this out if you haven't seen it. One of the best movies from the 80s, in my opinion. So yeah, absolutely love this movie. All right, so coming in at number 4 is Sylvester Stallone's Over the Top. My all-time favorite Sylvester Stallone film. This movie is just awesome in every way. Been watching this film, you know, since I was a little kid. I've seen it a million times. 1987 is when this film came out. Great movie. You know, it's centered around an arm wrestling competition, and basically Lincoln Hawk is Sylvester Stallone's character. He, you know, earlier you never really see it happen, but he had broke up with his wife, and you know, his wife's father kind of tore him apart. Never really liked Sylvester Stallone, and Sylvester Sloan basically just kind of walked away from it, you know, and they had a kid together, Michael, and he shows up one day. His wife's actually in the hospital, suffering with like heart complications, and his wife wanted him to pick up his son to get to know him, because you know, he was really young when he left, and so he picks up his son. Sylvester Stallone is a trucker in this movie, and he picks up his son to drive his son back to where his mom is at the hospital. It's, you know, kind of like a 2-3 day trip on the road, and like, you know, like I said, set up by his mom so he can get to know his son. And at first his son doesn't accept him, and is, you know, really upset over what happened. Feels like his father never cared, and overall it's just pretty much, like I said, you know, his wife's mom, who his wife's dad, who kind of tore him apart and drove him apart and things like that. Never really liked Sylvester Stallone. So anyways, you know, at the end of the movie, it kind of ends where he goes to the, you know, arm wrestling contest, and ends up winning it, becoming the world champion, getting his son back, and his mom had died earlier in the film as well from heart surgery, and he wins the contest and gets his son, and you know, the happy sappy ending. But it's just such a fun movie. Great soundtrack in this film. Absolutely love this movie. Loved it for years. Check this movie out if you haven't seen it. All right, so it takes us to number 3. You know, I had mentioned once before, a couple times actually, that this movie was actually my favorite movie of all time, and I've actually told that to a lot of people. And again, as I broke it down, I ended up finding out that it's not. But definitely comes in at a strong number 3. So it made the top 3. The Butterfly Effect with Ashton Kutcher. This is, of course, the Steelbook edition that I got here. This movie is so good. I think it's just brilliantly written. A fantastic, cool, unique idea for a movie. It's a time-traveling movie, but a lot different than, you know, most time-traveling movies that you see. But it is just such a good movie. I'm not an Ashton Kutcher fan. Well, mainly, you know, his comedy stuff. But this is pretty much one of his first serious roles I've ever seen him do. And this movie is just fantastic on so many levels. It's really hard to explain. You know, he ends up, you know, when he's young, Ashton Kutcher's character has these blackouts where he just ends up blacking out and forgetting certain incidents that happened in his life. And as he gets older, these blackouts, these memories start coming back to him, and he realizes that he has this power to actually go back in time and experience these blackouts that he, you know, missed when he was younger. And he finds out that he has the power to change things, and he keeps trying to change things that happened in the past to try to make things better, and things keep going wrong. He just keeps He just keeps making it worse and worse. He thinks he fixes it, and then something else bad happens, so he goes back again to try to fix it again, and it just keeps going on and on and on until finally at the end of the movie, he comes up with this plan to kind of fix the entire thing, and he ends up having to give up, his girl, the girl that he loves, in order to make everything okay again. But a really, really good movie. Absolutely love this movie. It was very close to my number one favorite movie, not quite there, but this movie is one of the most highly recommended movies I'll probably ever share with you guys. Even my top two movies that you're about to see, my top two favorite movies, I would find this more recommendable than those other two, because the other two you're about to see again are going to kind of be more of a personal thing to me. But as far as movies, this movie's kick-ass. It came out with a couple sequels, straight-to-video sequels that have nothing to do with this one. Absolutely horrible garbage, but this movie is the shit. So watch this movie if you haven't seen it. All right, so we have reached number 2 of my top 10 favorite movies of all time, The Monster Squad. This movie is absolutely fantastic. Favorite of mine as a little kid. I would say, this is pretty much one of the first horror movies I ever watched as a kid, and I would definitely categorize this as a horror movie. It's more on a kid level horror, but I mean, there are you get the classic monsters in this movie, Frankenstein, Dracula, things like that, and it's centered around these kids. They end up finding out that monsters are real, and they come together to form this squad called the Monster Squad to kind of take on the monsters. The adults in the film don't believe what they're saying, that no, there's no monsters, what are you talking about? And there are, and they form this squad to try to stop the monsters. But it's a really fun movie. I've watched the movie since I was really young. This is definitely a movie I think would definitely be, I would think would be my first influence into the horror genre as a little kid. That started it all for me, I would say. But absolutely love this movie. So good on so many levels. Check this movie out. It's not just for kids. Again, I would say it's a movie that's probably closer to adults than kids. Yeah, I mean, this movie on so many levels is absolutely fantastic. Watch this movie. It's just definitely something that holds a close place in my heart from watching this as a kid. And I remember the day that I finally found it on DVD. They ended up releasing this really nice DVD edition of the film for the first time, and then I ended up finding it on Blu-ray recently. So absolutely great. I think the inside of this film, no, I thought it had the original artwork on this film, but it doesn't. I actually really like the original artwork on this film. I mean, this was cool, the one that's on here, but I think I actually have a poster of the original artwork. Anyway, but yeah, great movie. Check this movie out. It's absolutely okay. Well, we finally reached number 1, my top number 1 favorite movie of all time, and it was really hard to get this movie to find my the number 1 slot. A lot of things were taken into consideration why this movie is my number 1 favorite movie, but I always love this movie. Kick-ass movie. A lot of people might not have heard of this movie before. Some of you probably have, but 1986, The Wraith with Charlie Sheen, one of Charlie Sheen's earlier roles. This movie is just so good. I mean, for some reason, I've loved this movie since I was a little kid. Everything about this movie is just fantastic. Long story short, it's about this gang of like car racing punks that ended up murdering this kid. And what happens is that the kid actually gets sent back, from the afterlife, to kind of like as a spirit, like a kind of like a revenge type situation, to take all the gang down for killing them. And the way he does it is by driving this like sweet ass turbocharged Dodge car that of course the gang really wants when they see it, because that's what they do when they see a car they want. They race the person for it, and take their car after they beat them. And when they see this car, you know, they really want to to steal their car from them, win their car, and he ends up killing them all off one by one with the car while they race. And it's just so good. It's got Randy Quaid in here, Sherilyn Fenn. Who else is in it? The hell's his name? Clint Howard is in this movie. It's just such a kick-ass movie. It's so good. Everything about this movie, the soundtrack, the plot of the movie is just a cool idea. The action, just everything about it. I mean, I've loved this movie for so many years. I just wish so bad this movie would come to Blu-ray. When I've looked it up, I've seen like versions of this on Blu-ray from like other countries. I'm hoping at some point here in the US they release this on Blu-ray because it's my favorite movie of all time. I have to have this movie on Blu-ray. But check this movie out. I mean, I think this movie is definitely worth a watch by everybody. It might not be for everybody, but I think it's definitely worth it. I just, again, I don't know what it is about this movie that I've always loved, but it's just my favorite movie of all time. What can I say? It's just so damn good. It's just so cool. So yeah, there you have it. The Wraith. Check this movie out. All right, well, there you have it, everybody. Thanks for watching this video. I appreciate it. Let me know what you guys think of my top 10 videos. Some of you guys might laugh at a few of the titles. But like I said, it's just more my opinion based on what I grew up with as a kid. You know, I started watching movies and loving movies at a very young age, and I've been loving them my whole life. And so I took a lot of that into account when I was putting this list together. But hope you guys like the titles. Let me know in the comments below what you think of it. Definitely give the video a thumbs up. And stay tuned. I'm going to be putting out more videos very soon. I think my next one is going to be my top 10 favorite franchises of all time. I've already put all the lists together, so I'm going to slowly put them out one by one. So keep an eye out for those, everybody. Again, I appreciate you watching this video, and we will talk to you guys next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.